Okay, so real quick, I'm going to show you how I do these tapers with the cheaper tool. Now I had the bear paw taper tool and it worked okay. I did not like it. I bought this one at a local bow shop, and you can see it says traditional only on this side and Three Rivers archery on this one. So I'm assuming it can still be bought at Three Rivers. I have not checked at the time of this. You'll notice on this Three Rivers side, the taper goes down quite quickly. On this side, it's a little more gradual. So your knock taper is going to be the one that goes down quickly. So we're going to insert this shaft right in here. And I'm going to do this on my table, and then I'm going to clean it up. We're just going to start spinning, just like you're sharpening a pencil. And you don't really want to force it in, just kind of let the weight of the air do the work. Push in a little bit. I'll switch hands because I'm right-handed. Just gonna keep going. Notice I'm not shoving it in and taking off huge chunks. I want this to be pretty clean. Right, so now I'm down here and it's kind of stopping, right? It's not really going any further. And this one actually came out pretty daggone clean, but if it doesn't, if you notice there's a lot of waves in this line, what you can do is take it and push up just a little bit to make contact with that sharpener blade. And I'm holding it on the edge here. And you'll notice that is actually even cleaner than the previous line. That's all there is to it. So next, I'm going to determine which side is my top. Going to make a little mark, and then I'm going to glue my knock on. All right, so I have now picked the top of my arrow. You notice on this top here, those flames are going out. So they would go up and away from my hand, which is how I've determined that. And very dead center of that, I put a little dot, a little black dot. That is just to make sure when I put my knock on, I can get that straight. So when I'm putting it on, go straight to it. Like to practice that a few times. If I put it on, I can kind of push on the table and make sure. I've screwed this up before. Now, saying that I've screwed it up and using the glue that I like to use, which is this Gorilla Glue, is crazy, because if you use maybe a different glue, you would have more time to let it set. But all I'm going to do is take this glue, rub in a thin layer, let it soak in a bit. This stuff won't set too fast in air, but it will once the knock goes on there. Okay, that's pretty good. If you have a little excess, that's okay. Now I'm going to kind of spin it on, set it down. Make sure it's flat. It's pretty good. I'm just going to hold that a second and wipe off any of this excess glue. Now normally you'd want to have some kind of cloth to do that, but I'm living dangerously. Notice it spins. So that is on there straight. Now next step, we will cut the arrows and taper the points. And I'm going to get this glue off my fingers later. Okay, so now it is time to cut the arrows. And I've marked all my arrows with a piece of masking tape. And this is not the blade side, but the reason I do that is I can kind of really see and feel. I also don't recommend doing this on your dining room table. Your wife, girlfriend, mom, whoever may be, might kick your ass. But I always do it on a block of wood with a 90-degree angle if I'm going to use a saw like this. Now, of course, I have a regular arrow saw, but I like this. And that just allows me to make sure I have got everything lined up. I'm going to start very easy passes here. Really hard to do behind the camera. Really hard. I'm hitting the leg. Just a little. No, I got it. I'm gonna have to clean that up. Good enough. Alright, and now that I have that end cut off, I'm going to do the point taper. And just the opposite of yesterday. This time I'm going to use the longer one. And I already checked, this arrow was straight. You might need to straighten a little bit more to make sure that that point is straight. I'm just going to go ahead and start twisting. Also, once again, probably not a good idea to do this over at the dining room table. I'm going to get all this cleaned up before my wife gets home today. And at least with an 11/32 arrow, you should end up with a 1-inch taper. So your backup point length is going to be 1 inch shorter than what you cut this to. Good, you'll see that's a nice straight cut the whole way around. Same trick as yesterday. I'm going to do the rest of these and then I will get back to you when we glue in points and fletch. All right, so arrows are almost done. We're down to the final steps. So I need to glue a point on and we got to get these fletched. So I'm going to show you how I glue these points on, and it might not be the wrong way, and to be honest, I don't really give a shit if it is or not. This is how I do it, and they hold on. I do the same thing with inserts on carbons and aluminum arrows. So I'm going to start off. I've got a cup of water, got the Kimshaw glue. I've used Gorilla Glue in the past, it works well. Recently did some tests with this versus Gorilla Glue, and this did at least work better on wood arrows. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to hold a lighter up to it. Like I said, this is crackhead style. I had an alcohol burner for a while, and I used it underneath of my charcoal grill chimney to light some charcoal quicker, and it cracked. So I guess you could also say that was crackhead style. But now I'm just going to take this, just going to rub a nice heaping of glue on there. Sorry, I'm doing this behind the camera. It doesn't look like a lot, but there is a good amount of glue there. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually start off by just getting this a little warm. About 5 seconds. Then I'm going to do the same to this glue. You don't have to get this glue super hot, and I'll show you why in a second. Just enough to where it starts to slide on. And as I slide it on, I'm going to twist. All right, so now I got it about almost the whole way on. You notice there's a little gap. So I am going to cook it here. Get that point super hot until it starts to slide. And normally it takes about 10 to 15 seconds. And when you're pushing, you want to keep your hand close to the point. All right, we are on. Hold that for 5 or 6 seconds. And then very quickly, I'm going to transfer this point from the side of this wood workbench into that water. And that's going to solidify it. Now we're going to give it a second for that to cool down. And that, I normally use a coffee mug, it's a little deeper. So now that is cool to the touch, and you can actually just wipe those char marks off. And then peel the glue off. And if you have some excess glue that's hard to get off, which I normally do, take your lighter, go once around. You're not actually heating the point, just the glue, and just wipe it off with your thumb. That is now a point that has no glue on it. Now I'm going to watch this and make sure it looks good, then I'll come back and we'll fletch. Okay, now one other thing I wanted to mention while doing this is if you have, specifically if you have brand new points, they're going to come with some machine oil in them. Now they sell brushes that you can use to clean them out. You can also use like a brass gun cleaning brush, chuck it up on a drill, shove it in there. I also always like to get some Q-tips and wash them out extra good with acetone. I use 1 Q-tip per arrow or per head, and I will get one side wet, like super wet, and dip it in, clean it out real good, and then I'll dry it out with the other side. Definitely want to make sure your points are clean. That's going to make it work the best. Another thing, I've been spinning these arrows as I've been doing this, and they are spinning like carbons. Really goes to show what you can do as long as you take your time and do it right. But I think that's all I had for this. I'm trying to think of more stuff I could tell you. I can't turn my camera off right now because I'm trying to do this at the same time. Yeah, you'll see this method works really good. I mean, you can't even begin to pull these off. I'll show you. I don't know if I can show you, but this thing spins like a dream on my hand.